IATF is more than a platform. It is a declaration, a signal that African enterprise is ready to collaborate, ready to scale, and ready to lead in trade. This business engagement session is part of a series of roadshows taking place across the continent, from Liberia to Sierra Leone to Gambia, now to Ghana, South Africa, and others to follow. These gatherings are turning conversations into action. While frameworks and policies matter, it is the entrepreneurs in this room, the producers and the businesses that bring the AFCFTA to life. But they have to meet and exchange. And this is what the IATF does for us. IATF is making this possible. The theme of today's session, harnessing regional and continental value chains, accelerating Africa's industrialization and global competitiveness under the AFCFTA, is not a new ambition. In fact, it revives an older reality. Long before borders were drawn, Africa thrived as a connected economy. Trade was a way of life, value was created locally, progress moved through relationships and exchange. Across the world today, unfortunately, we see increasing protectionism. Traditional aid partners are looking increasingly inward. The global economic tide is shifting, and everybody is now focusing on themselves. But that's okay. I believe this is a wake-up call for us in Africa, that we now need to be more deliberate about trading amongst ourselves, about our collective prosperity, building for ourselves and growing for ourselves and creating interconnected prosperity. It is time for action. Platforms like the IATF are not about speeches and panels. I have been to every single one of them, and I can assure you they are about action.
Ghana's pavilion was among the largest and most vibrant, featuring over 50 Ghanaian export companies, which showcased high-quality products ranging from cosmetics, cocoa products, garments, agro-processed products to fintech innovations. The results were remarkable. Among the key outcomes were the following. Over 120 million worth of trade leads were generated. Memoranda of understanding signed with key partners in Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, and Egypt. Ghana was adjudged the most extraordinary and experiential stand, an award that bore testimony to the diversity and quality of Ghana's product offerings. Distinguished delegates, these achievements have not only boosted national pride, but have also opened doors for Ghanaian businesses to expand across the continent, fostering partnerships, investments, and knowledge exchange that continue to bear fruit till date. Central to Ghana's progress in intra-African trade are the efforts GEPA is positioning the country as a regional trade leader through strategic interventions, capacity building, and market access initiatives. A notable example is the establishment of the Ghana Trade House in Nairobi in 2023, which now supports 80 Ghanaian companies trading over 1,050 product lines across East Africa, significantly reducing market entry barriers. GEPA's impact is amplified through partnerships with key institutions such as the National Coordination Office of AFTA, Afri-Exim Bank, the AFTA Secretariat, ECOWAS, the EU, ITC Geneva, and the CBI of the Netherlands.
This roadshow is part of our collective effort to build momentum towards the Intra-African Trade Fair 2025, which will take place, as we are aware, from the 4th to the 10th of September this year in Algiers, Algeria. But more importantly, it is about mobilizing action. Action that ensures Ghana's public and private sectors are well represented and competitively positioned to seize the opportunities this landmark event will offer. At the heart of today's engagement lies a bold idea. That idea can and must trade that Africa must trade more with itself, not only in raw materials, but in value-added goods, services, and innovation. That idea is the engine behind the AFCFTA and the Inter-African Trade Fair, which we are here to promote today, and which is the AFCFTA's commercial face and marketplace, is where we bring that idea to life. Accordingly, while the AFCFTA provides the legal and policy framework for this transformation, the IATF acts as its commercial engine, bringing together businesses, bringing together investors, governments, and innovators from across the continent to forge partnerships and to unlock new markets. One of the persistent barriers to intra-African trade is not tariffs or logistics alone, but also access to accurate, timely, and actionable market intelligence. Trade cannot flourish in the absence of information. A striking illustration of this gap is found in the leather industry, where Tunisia, Morocco, and South Africa collectively import over $400 million worth of leather goods annually, primarily from Europe and South America, despite the fact that countries like Ethiopia, Kenya, and Sudan possess both the capacity and the quality to supply a significant portion of that demand. The problem here is not capacity, it is connectivity. Similarly, West African countries spend over $3 billion annually importing meat products from countries as distant as Argentina and Australia, while nations such as Mali, Namibia, Chad, Sudan, Botswana, and South Africa have the production capacity to meet much of this demand within our borders.
Without Afreximbank, the AFCFTA would be simply a diplomatic exercise, a trade agreement that only lawyers appreciate, with no commercial trade taking place. The partnership with Afreximbank is critical for ensuring the trade finance components, infrastructure that supports trade, as well as recently what we embarked on, ease of payments through the Pan-African Payments and Settlement System. It is therefore a very important twin sister or brother of the AFCFTA. Similarly, without the AFCFTA, the billions and billions of dollars that Afreximbank deploys to trade finance, to supporting trade infrastructure, will not amount to much, because if the trade barriers exist, the non-tariff barriers, and other forms of prohibitions of trade between and amongst African countries, the investments that Afreximbank make will not yield the results that all of us would expect. It is therefore a very important strategic relationship, partnership, and collaboration. In that context, the IATF matters because it offers a platform for inclusivity. It offers a platform that includes young people, small medium enterprises, smallholder farmers, up-and-coming manufacturers to be part of Africa's trade. The fundamental requisite for us to achieve our objectives as a continent of uplifting millions and millions of Africans out of abject poverty will be met, I believe, where trade contributes significantly to economic activity on our continent. For too long, our share of world trade as a continent has stagnated at just over 3%. Contribution of other parts of the world to global trade have been significantly higher. Even regions or countries of the world that have much lower populations than our continent. Other regions trade extensively amongst themselves, We know, for example, that the European Union intra-EU trade is estimated to be at over 70%. Intra-Asia trade is estimated to be over 60%, and so on. By some accounts, and the accounts vary, intra-Africa trade ranges between 15 and 18%. Of course, I have a different view, because I believe that the true scale of Africa's internal trade is significantly higher than the 15% to 18% range, given the prevalence of informal cross-border trade, and of course, the contribution of smallholder farmers and small medium enterprises, which is not captured in the data that we compute. So we have to provide the evidence that intra-Africa trade is higher than the range of 15 to 18%. And the AFCFTA Secretariat is working on that, and soon we shall be in a position to announce what we believe are accurate figures that express intra-Africa trade. Nonetheless, this does not mean that we must relax our resolve to ensure that intra-Africa trade not only creates opportunities for small medium enterprises, for young people, for our agricultural informal traders, but that it does indeed contribute quite significantly to Africa's overall economic activity.